Hey everybody, welcome again to Challenged Athletes Live. My name is Bob Babbitt. Our guest today, we have Tara Butcher and her brother Brandon Butcher. How are you both doing?
I'm doing really good.
I love
Let
it.
you go first there, Tara. I'm doing well also.
You guys grew up in Utah. Brandon's the older brother. Tara, you're a dancer and singer, but Brandon, you were doing a lot of different sports, right?
I did basically all of them, all the way up through high school.
Like it. So 2005, Tara's driving down the highway in San Diego. And Tara, take me through, it was a minor car accident and you pulled it aside, and what happened?
Yeah, I was in a fender bender on the 5 freeway in San Diego, and so I pulled over to the shoulder and tried to make a phone call. I'm not quite sure. I don't remember anything. This is just what I've been told. And I got out of my car to go and talk to the other person that I had hit. Yeah. And I got struck by a car that was going 72 miles an hour. I was hit head on.
And you basically went across a couple lanes of traffic, and you ended up your injuries, you ended up losing your leg.
Yeah, so I had both of my legs were crushed. My left leg was pretty much gone at the scene, but it had to be amputated once I got to the hospital. I had an internal decapitation in my neck, and I had a ruptured ovary in my abdomen.
And so, Brandon, you were the one who had to sign the form approving the amputation, correct?
I am. She had just recently moved out from living with me there in San Diego. So I was the only family there in the state of California.
And at the time, your wife was pregnant and about to have a baby. So
yeah.
Your family basically going, here's Tara with this horrific injury, and here's this joy of becoming a father. Talk a little about just that whole period of your life that had to be so tough.
It was a very long month of time spent at the hospital between my sister, who I was very close to and had been living with me until my family could get down there, being the only one there. And then my wife literally was due 4 days after Tara's accident, actually, I believe.
Wow.
So between being in the ER and ICU at one hospital, and now my wife at the time, she was now at a different somewhat ICU because she had preeclampsia, so had a few little bit of complications while he was delivered fine and everything went perfect. It was just a stressful, I think, part of the stress between that. And so we split between town there in between La Jolla and over in Hillcrest, I believe.
So Tara, you were not really an athlete when you were younger, but
no.
After this, you ran marathons and did triathlons and climbed Mount Kilimanjaro and climbed Mount Whitney. What the hell?
Right. I
like
know.
You became a different person.
Literally, yeah. I had a different mindset after my accident. I had a mental will that I didn't know I had before. I realized that I could physically really do anything I wanted to do, and I enjoyed challenging that for several years, challenging what I could do with my body.
So Brandon, seeing your sister become an athlete, were you surprised?
Yeah, honestly, a little bit. Yeah, that wasn't really her thing growing up. It wasn't really, she did, like she said, did do dance and other stuff that most all young girls do, but it wasn't really her thing, was being into a lot of athletics. So it was kind of crazy to see that turn and that change in her to become this elite athlete at that.
Yes.
After her accident, prior to that being basically not an athlete whatsoever, to really becoming me being a very competitive athlete. It was pretty impressive, and it was something huge for me to see her become now an elite athlete. It was really encouraging to me, actually, at the time.
So 2012, you're at a solar panel installation, and you heard one of your employees, you heard him scream, and he was sliding towards the edge of the roof, and you didn't hesitate. You went to save your friend, and in the process, you fell off the roof, and talk about what your injuries were.
Yeah, he slid, headed off backwards, head first, sliding his back towards, and I ran to the edge and caught a hold of him by his chest and his jacket, and but the edge of the roofs here up in Utah are metal because of all the snow load. So
Right.
I hit that metal and slid off, and we went off together, thinking I could catch the railing, being an athlete myself, thinking everything would be great, and I'd catch the railing coming down, and didn't work out that way. I went off with him. I held on to him. He landed. I hit a railing coming down. He hit the hood of my truck with his butt, and then I landed both feet on the concrete from about 30 feet up, shattering both of my legs and my wrist that hit the railing on the way down.
So, and then obviously, Tara, you'd been through this story before.
Yeah.
Knowing what you've gone through, talk a little bit about reaching out to Brandon and letting him know what life as an amputee is going to be about.
Yeah, I mean, his was not an immediate amputation. He was trying to recover without amputating, and that was kind of like a last resort for him. And yeah, he had seen me for several years, you know, living and being active, and you know, he saw that you could live a normal life. But when his came down to it and he had a really bad infection, he basically had to amputate with like a few weeks of decisions, and he chose to do it because he knew that he would be okay, you know, because he had an example and seen the CAF events, and he'd been to them, and he'd seen me, and he knew, like, okay, you know, like, you can still live a good life with an amputation. So I think that gave him hope and positivity in his mind to go forward with it.
Brandon, as a guy who had been an athlete, do you think it was more difficult because basically you lose a leg and part of your identity is as an athlete with two legs, and now you're missing a leg? How hard was it for you going through this process?
It was actually a big deal to me. It was, I think because as I was younger, I put a lot of who I was, a weight of who I was in my physical prowess. I was a good athlete. I was at the time becoming a professional fighter, an MMA fighter, even though I was a little older. You know, it was something I really enjoyed, something that was a lot of fun. So it was hard for me to overcome realizing that my physical prowess and my athleticism wasn't even hardly anything of who I actually was. That it helped me become and learn more who I actually was, and it had nothing to do with me physically overcoming those things.
So the two of you went to do the Empire State Run-Up together in 2018. Yep. Was that really like one of the first events you guys did together?
I think together, it was, I think, right, Tara? I'd been to the other events, but I'd never competed in any other ones, I don't think, with my sister.
Right. And how cool was that to do that together, and both of you being athletes?
It was a lot of fun. Besides, she whooped my butt, waiting for a rematch. I didn't train as hard, and you know, she kind of had been in more events and knew what she was getting into, and I again thought that I was physically elite, and she proved that wrong.
So for you, Brandon, talk a little bit about getting back in the sport and coming out to San Diego Triathlon Challenge. It's one thing, you're in Utah, it's probably not a lot of amputees around. And for you to get back in the sport and come to San Diego Triathlon Challenge and see all these legs laying around and get a sense that, hey, I'm not alone. There are other people here who are dealing with this. How important was that for you?
It was actually great. Like we said before, I did live in San Diego when Tara's accident happened, so I was familiar with that area, and I just wasn't familiar with that space of amputees and athletes. And while we do actually have a lot, I mean, here in Utah, we're one of the greatest outdoors sports places in the whole country, with our snow, with our snowboarding and skiing, mountain biking, trail running, and everything else in between. So it was able to opened my eyes to see how much more was out there and available being involved with challenged athletes while they're there in San Diego. It's been fun to try and help get some of that going here in Utah with some of the different sports that we offer here in Utah.
That's very cool. Tara, how important has CAF been in your life in terms of your coming back from this injury?
Oh my, I mean, I don't know where I would be without CAF. They are a huge, huge part of my support and my community. I've made very good friends. I love CAF with my whole heart. Like, I don't know what life would be like without CAF.
What, when you watch your brother go through this process and become an athlete again and come out the other end, how proud of you, how proud of him are you?
Very proud. Yeah, very proud. It was really cool for me to have him in New York for the Empire State Run-Up to actually, you know, because a lot of our events are in San Diego.
Right.
So I don't get to have him at a lot of them. And it was cool to just see him in the mix. You know, you go to lunch with these athletes and you go to dinner and you hang out. Like, you're not just there to race, you're there spending quality time and building connections. So to see him building those connections with the other athletes, like I know he got to know Rudy pretty well. That was cool.
And Brandon, is the bond different now between you and Tara than it was before she lost her leg and then you lost your leg?
Yeah, absolutely it is. It's, I mean, I think between all of me and my siblings, Tara and I were probably the closest, but more so than ever now, really, absolutely. It's, you know, we have that similarity and that bond that we deal with certain things in our daily lives that not very rarely will you ever see two siblings from a trauma that have to deal with those adversities and those things that most people would never have to overcome, let alone have a sibling to be able to overcome them with and to challenge themselves head on with stuff like challenged athletes. So been so much fun.
Brandon, what's next for you in terms of, do you have some athletic goals, some things you want to do?
I mean, when we get back to normal, I definitely am looking forward to a rematch of the Empire State's building.
Tara, he's throwing down. I see it.
Yeah, okay, I'm up for it.
That definitely is one that I'm looking forward to. I would love to get CAF out in Utah for a mountain biking event, or even, you know, we do, you know, like the triathlon we have there in San Diego. We have different triathlons here in Utah, being in the lake and having trail running and mountain biking versus road bikes and, you know, road running. So it would be awesome to do an outdoors triathlon here in Utah in the next coming year or so.
Brandon, do you feel you have any limitations now as an athlete, with, you know, having the level of prosthetic legs we have nowadays?
So for my prosthetic leg, absolutely not. As I said, both my legs were broken badly. My left leg is the non-amputated, and it actually gives me problems every day. I have a lot of pain and swelling in that almost every day. So besides that, with the prosthetics and the advancements and all this stuff that, you know, I mean, as far as bikes and everything else, I have a custom leg just for my mountain bike with a clip in. No limitations whatsoever with how far we've come with prosthetics.
Love it. Hey, thank you both for taking time. It's always great to catch up. You guys are awesome. We love having both of you as part of our CAF family. Thanks so much for taking time.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
Take care.
Thank
All
you.
right. Tara and Brandon Butcher have been our guests. This is Challenge Athletes Live. My name is Bob Babbitt, and we'll catch you next time.